7 years of failure earned Han Sun-yeon the title Talentless Trash. Kicked out and broken, his dream of vengeance was dead until the Tower of Trials appeared. Given one impossible chance, Sun-yeon chose the hardest difficulty and was rewarded with the most feared power, Necromancy. Now, watch the weakest reject evolving at impossible speed, absorbing souls and synthesizing skills to become a force of nature. 7 years ago, a terrible disaster called a dungeon break occurred. Monsters appeared, causing immense suffering. During this catastrophe, a young boy's parents were killed. As he cried, he made a promise to himself that he would become a hunter and kill all the monsters. But in the present day, 7 years later, that same boy, Han Sun-yeon, has just been kicked out of the Hunter Training Center. He is devastated. In a flashback, we see the instructor telling him not to come back anymore. The instructor explains that while most awakened people finish their training in a few months, Sun-yeon has been there for 7 years with absolutely no improvement in his stats. The instructor bluntly calls his talent trash and says that his presence is bad for the training center's reputation. Other trainees overhear and mock him for his persistence. Hopeless as he was sitting on a bench. Just then he heard a mother nearby who was explaining to her daughter to always be strong and never give up. When she feels weak, just remember how her father died when trying to protect people from monsters. Their conversation gave Sun-yeon the will to persevere. Determined not to quit, Sun-yeon runs and goes to the director of the training center and begs for one more chance to take the hunter exam. The director becomes angry, assuming Sun-yeon is just upset about the money he spent, so he decides to give him half the refund, but Sun-yeon refuses. So, he violently punches Sun-yeon and throws him out into the rain. Lying on the ground, beaten and heartbroken, Sun-yeon wishes he had a unique trait or even a little bit of talent. Suddenly, a strange blue light appears around him. A message from something called the Tower of Trials praises him for his iron will. Then he's teleported somewhere. Hearing him scream outside, the director came out to beat him once more, but he was nowhere to be found. On the other side, he was teleported to an empty space. Everything is dark, and a system window announces that the tower has selected all suitable candidates from Earth. Sun-yeon is confused and wonders if this is another catastrophe. He is then presented with a choice of difficulty, easy, normal, or hard. The system explains that the rewards will be greater for a higher difficulty. Although he doesn't understand the situation, his gut feeling tells him that this is a huge opportunity. As he taps, a message wishes him good luck, and he is transported to the first floor of the tower. He finds himself in a massive desert. The system restores all his stats and provides him with a sword. The objective of this first trial is survival. The reward for completing it is a release of a unique trait. Sun-yeon is completely shocked. A unique trait is the one thing he has been desperately working for over the past 7 years. Filled with new determination, he heads toward to grab the sword. But before he could, the tutorial trial begins. A giant sand golem erupts from the sand beneath him. His objective is, he must defeat the sand golems and survive for 10 minutes, because this dumb guy chose hard as difficulty. As he stares at the monster, another window appears, revealing the terrifying stakes. The penalty for failing the trial is death. Faced with a gigantic sand golem, Sun-yeon's first instinct is to run away. He quickly realizes that running is not a good strategy. The golem is surprisingly fast, and the desert terrain makes it impossible for him to maintain his stamina for the full 10 minutes. He understands that the sword he was given was meant for fighting, not just for show. He remembers all the mockery people used to say to him, and decides that he is not going to die here. Recalling his 7 years of intense study, he remembers a key weakness of golems. If their core is destroyed, they stop moving. The problem is that the core is usually in a hard-to-reach place. It's on the chest. So now he makes a plan to climb a mountain and jump directly at the core. And he executes his plan and bravely jumps straight on the golem's chest, where the glowing red core is located. He stabs at it, but the core is incredibly hard and it only cracks. The golem grabs him and begins to crush him in its hand. As the pressure builds, Sun-yeon is flooded with memories of all the insults and mockery he endured for being talentless. Fueled by a desperate rage, he pushes back with all his might and throws that sword directly at the core, and yes, the core broke. With a final explosive burst of energy, the core shatters and the giant sand golem crumbles into dust. A system window announces that he has completed the tutorial trial with more than 7 minutes remaining. Exhausted but alive, Sun-yeon collapses in the sand. He can hardly believe that he, who was always considered weak, managed to defeat such a monster. The system then floods with notifications for his rewards. For clearing the first floor, he officially unlocks his unique trait and receives 1,000 points. As an additional reward, he also gets a skill called Fast Recovery E+, and another 500 points. Finally, the moment he has waited 7 years for arrives. The system announces that his unique trait is Necromancy. Overwhelmed with emotion, Sun-yeon realizes that his dream of becoming a hunter is finally within reach. However, as he celebrates, he notices a strange black fog rising from the spot where the golem died. A new system window appears, prompted by his Necromancy trait, asking if he wants to absorb the sand golem's spirit. As he taps on yes, the black fog rushes toward him and begins to painfully engulf his body. As the black fog from his Necromancy skill violently swirls around and into him, Sun-yeon surprisingly isn't in agony. The system announces that he has successfully absorbed the spirit of the sand golem and his proficiency with the skill has increased by 7%. the pain subsides, and the black fog condenses into a swirling red orb of energy in front of him. A new window shows his spirit count is now 1 out of a possible 5. He discovers he can use this absorbed spirit to permanently increase his stats. He immediately does so, and his strength increases by 3 and his health by 2. Sung-yoon is overcome with emotion. After 7 long years of his stats never increasing by a single point, he can finally become stronger. A detailed description of his necromancy trait appears, explaining that he can absorb spirits to permanently increase his stats or store them for other uses. With this power, he feels confident that he can finally become a hunter. Just then, a blue portal opens and the system instructs him to move to the waiting room. He steps through the portal and finds himself in a large, empty room with only a single bed. He is shocked to discover that all the severe injuries he sustained during his fight with the golem have been completely healed. As he lies down to rest, a system window appears, giving him 5 new commands he can use: Info, Store, Community, Inventory, and Trial. Curious, he first says Trial, and learns that the second trial will begin in just under 24 hours. He then says Community, which opens a chat room with other people who also chose the hard difficulty. The chat is in chaos. Experienced hunters are panicking because their powerful stats and skills have been reset, while ordinary people who are not hunters are terrified and confused about being dragged into the tower. Suddenly, the chat is disabled as a user named Admin XXX enters. The admin announces that they have important information for everyone who cleared the tutorial. They explain that the points earned from trials are the currency of the tower. These points are essential for everything, even for a single drop of water, and can only be earned by clearing trials. After sharing this critical information, the admin leaves and the chat is re-enabled. Sung-yoon understands the harsh reality of his situation. To survive, he must continuously face and clear these dangerous trials. Knowing that the experienced hunters will have an advantage in relearning their skills, he resolves to train as hard as he can. He uses the store to buy a shield and some basic supplies. He then spends the next 23 hours training relentlessly, taking advantage of the waiting room's automatic healing to push himself to his limits. Finally, the countdown reaches 0. A prompt asks if he will accept the second trial, and with firm resolve, he accepts. He is teleported to a lush forest. The system announces that the objective of this trial is assassination. He must assassinate the leader of an orc tribe within the time limit. Looking down from a cliff, Sun-jun is horrified to see a massive, heavily populated orc encampment stretching out below him. Sung-yoon knows that a direct attack is impossible. He remembers from his studies that orc tribes with guards are extremely dangerous, and an entire party of E-rank hunters would be needed to clear a village of this size. Realizing he is completely outnumbered, he retreats into the forest to come up with a better plan. He formulates a clever strategy. Knowing that orcs are diligent creatures who go out to hunt every morning and return at sunset, he decides to use this to his advantage. His plan is to use their greatest weakness, fire. He spends the day gathering wood and making torches, which he stores in his inventory. As evening approaches and the orc hunters have not yet returned, Sun-jun puts his plan into motion. He surrounds the orc village with his torches, setting the forest ablaze. The massive fire traps the weaker orcs inside and, more importantly, will block the stronger hunters from returning to help. With the perimeter secured, his next step is to eliminate the remaining orcs inside the fiery circle. He sneaks up on 2 orc workers by a river and swiftly kills one. He immediately activates his necromancy skill and absorbs the orc's spirit, which raises the proficiency to 9. However, his attack alerts a powerful orc guard. The guard charges at him, and Sun-yoon is quickly overpowered. In a moment of desperation, he uses the spirits he has stored to permanently increase his stats mid-battle. He instantly boosts his strength, agility, and stamina. The surge of power is immediate, and he can now fight on equal terms with the guard. After dealing with the threat, Sung-yoon proceeds further into the burning village. He finds the remaining group, 3 workers, another guard, and the tribe's old leader. Thanks to his recent power-up, he easily cuts through the weaker workers, leaving only the guard and the leader. The guard separates from its leader to fight Sung-yoon one-on-one. As Sung-yoon kills the final guard, the orc leader, who had seemed old and weak, unleashes a powerful stream of fire. Sung-yoon is caught completely by surprise and is engulfed in the flames. The pain is excruciating, but he manages to endure it. A system message appears, congratulating him for achieving the one who endures fire and unlocking a new skill, fire resistance. Badly burned but filled with rage, Sung-yoon glares at the orc leader and promises, "You're dead." Enraged and empowered by his new fire-resistant skill, Sung-yoon charges directly at the leader. He swiftly dodges the leader's fire and cuts his hand off. But the leader then storms into his hut. Inside, he is surprised to find 2 small, crying orc children huddled together. The sight makes him pause, as he is reminded of his own tragic past and his parents telling him to run away and survive. This moment of hesitation is broken when one of the young orcs lunges at him with a small knife. Calling the creature's actions stupid, Sung-yoon hardens his heart and kills the children, vowing to wipe out the bloodline of all monsters. With the leader assassinated, a system window confirms he has completed the 2nd floor. Back in the safety of the waiting room, Sung-yoon discovers that his shield was destroyed in the last fight. He then checks the community chat and learns 2 shocking things. Half of the people on his difficulty level died during the trial, and someone has discovered a way to return to Earth. Apparently, by using question vouchers that are given on each new floor, players have learned that a temporary return stone can be purchased after the 5th floor, and items for permanent return are available after the 7th floor. Sunyeon is incredibly tempted. With his new necromancy ability, he could become a powerful A-rank hunter back on Earth. However, he knows he barely survived the 2nd floor, and reaching the 7th seems like an impossible goal for now. Deciding to focus on getting stronger, Sunyeon checks his status. His stats are now averaging close to 20, a massive improvement from when he started. He then takes the 5 spirits he collected from the orcs and absorbs them all at once. The power that floods his body is immense, boosting all of his stats into the high 20s. He wanted to try the skills and got a little too excited, bumping into a wall and injuring himself. After recovering, Sunyeon uses his accumulated points to buy new equipment from the shop, a D-rank shield, a dagger, and an assassin's cape. He spends the rest of his time in the waiting room getting used to his new power and gear. Finally, the next trial begins. He is teleported to a dark cave, and the system announces that the Guardian of Darkness will appear in 10 seconds. As the countdown ends, a shadowy figure emerges and attacks him with blinding speed. To his horror, he realizes the Guardian is a doppelganger, an evil, shadowy version of himself. The battle against the doppelganger begins instantly. The shadowy creature is an exact copy of Sunyeon, matching him in speed and skill. During their first exchange, Sunyeon gets a cut, but his fast recovery skill kicks in. He quickly realizes the horrifying truth: the doppelganger is perfectly mimicking his movements and even has access to his skills. He confirms this when he wounds the creature, only to see it use a healing skill of its own. Sunyeon comes up with a clever plan. If the doppelganger is a perfect copy, it must also share the weaknesses in his self-taught swordsmanship. He tries to bait it into an opening, but to his shock, the doppelganger not only counters his move, but does so with a more refined and powerful technique. The creature is not just copying him, it is learning and evolving at an alarming speed. Realizing he is running out of time before his opponent becomes too strong to handle, Sunyeon activates the special effect of his assassin's cape, gaining a 15% speed boost that lasts for 1 minute. He uses this burst of speed to launch a desperate, all-out assault. The gamble pays off, and he manages to stab the doppelganger through the chest. However, in the same motion, the doppelganger impales him, and Sunyeon's sword is knocked from his grasp. Both are now critically injured. But Sunyeon knows its healing abilities are probably superior to his own. With his sword gone and only seconds remaining on his speed boost, he makes a reckless decision. Choosing to die fighting rather than waiting for defeat, he pushes, tackles the monster with shield, and cuts its head with the shield. A system window then appears, congratulating him on clearing the 3rd floor of the Tower of Trials. Sunyeon arrives in the 4th floor's waiting room, where all his grievous injuries are instantly healed. After confirming his recovery, he examines the spirit he obtained from the doppelganger. He is amazed to find that this single spirit is far more powerful and dense than any he has encountered before. Just holding it is enough to max out his necromancy skills proficiency, causing it to rank up from F to E. This level up comes with an incredible new ability. Whenever he absorbs a spirit, he now has a random chance to learn one of the skills that the original owner possessed. Sunyeon is thrilled by this unbelievably powerful upgrade. Afterward, he checks the community chat and learns that the next trial will be an integrated trial, where all the challengers will participate together. The theme is competition, and Sunyeon immediately worries that this means they will be forced to kill each other. The trial begins, and Sunyeon is teleported to an arena in front of a large castle. He is matched with 2 teammates. The first is Lee Haeon, a friendly E-rank support hunter. The second is Lee Seung-hoon, an arrogant D-rank close combat hunter who immediately looks down on Sunyeon for not being an official hunter. Well, let's call this guy Lee to not mess up the names. So Lee declares himself the leader and warns Sunyeon that he will be abandoned if he proves to be a burden. The system then reveals the objective. It is a 3v3 competition. Sunyeon's team must work together to defeat the Goblin King inside the castle before the opposing team of 3 challengers does. Failure for either team means death for all its members. The castle gates open, and a huge, surprisingly organized army of goblins charges out. The arrogant Lee is quickly overwhelmed by their numbers and coordination. He yells at Haeon to hurry up with her support spells and berates Sunyeon for being distracted. Seeing that his teammates are struggling, Sunyeon leaves his post to help. Haeon protests, worried about breaking their formation, because if he went to help him, who's gonna watch her back? But when she turns around, she finds the goblins dead because he already killed him. Meanwhile, Lee is cornered and about to be killed, screaming in frustration and blaming the useless newbie for his failure. Just in the nick of time, Sunyeon appears and effortlessly saves him, cutting down the surrounding goblins with blinding speed. He then turns to the stunned Lee and tells him to stay back, calling him a bother. Sunyeon proceeds to single-handedly slaughter the goblin horde, showcasing a level of power that leaves both his teammates completely speechless. He calmly absorbs the spirits of the fallen goblins, but to his companions, it just looks like he is standing amidst a swirling dark energy. Among the spirits he absorbs is one from a goblin ranger. His necromancy skill activates, and he is incredibly lucky, learning a new skill called Ranger's Knowledge. This skill permanently widens his field of view, making it easier to spot approaching enemies. He feels like he has hit the jackpot. But Lee still wasn't convinced of Sung Yoon's overwhelming power. But Sung Yoon takes charge and declares that he will lead the party from now on for the sake of efficiency. Lee reluctantly agrees. Sung Yoon assigns Lee to protect the support hunter Haeon while he takes the front line. The party proceeds deeper into the castle, with Sung Yoon effortlessly slaughtering goblins along the way. As they move, they notice that the number of goblins is thinning out. They soon discover a path of goblin corpses and realize the horrifying truth. The other team is moving much faster than them and is already far ahead. Sung Yoon knows that if the other team defeats the Goblin King first, his own team will be penalized with death. On the other side, the other team was slaughtering the goblins like nothing and even reached the boss room's gate. As the other team's leader is about to open the boss room door, a system message appears. The conditions for the boss battle have been met. Suddenly, a strange cube-like pocket dimension emerges covering the boss room's game. And Sung Yoon's is also inside too because they finally reach the gate too. The system announces a shocking twist. The boss battle will only begin when one of the two teams is eliminated. They are now trapped in a forced player versus player deathmatch. Sung Yoon's party finds themselves facing the other team, a trio of experienced and well-equipped hunters. Recognizing the danger, Sung Yoon tells his teammates that he will fight them alone. He asks Haeon for a single agility buff, telling her to give all her other support spells to Lee. He warns her that human hunters can be far more dangerous than monsters, so she should be prepared to use Lee as a backup. Confident in his abilities after killing so many goblins, Sung Yoon prepares to face the three enemy hunters head-on. As he charges, their leader, Lee Sion, orders his teammate to raise a powerful defensive shield. Sung Yoon, boosted by Haeon's agility spell, shatters it with a single blow. He engages directly with Sion, who is a skilled swordsman. However, Sung Yoon's stats and combat instincts are on another level. Sion finds that while he is technically the more refined fighter, he cannot land a hit. Sung Yoon's attacks are strange and unpredictable. Sion realizes that Sung Yoon has an uncanny ability to read the path of his sword. Using this to his advantage, Sung Yoon feints an attack, throwing Sion off balance before landing a fatal blow. With their leader dead, the other two hunters are quickly dispatched. After the intense battle, Sung Yoon's hands are shaking. Haeon approaches him, concerned that he is in shock from killing people for the first time. He reassures her that he is fine and insists they proceed immediately to the boss fight. With no objections from the now terrified Lee, Sung Yoon enters the boss room and effortlessly kills the Goblin King in a single strike. The system announces their victory and rewards them with a boost to all stats and a new skill, instant acceleration. Portals open for them to leave the trial. Lee, completely intimidated by Sung Yoon's monstrous power, leaves without a word. Haeon stays behind to thank Sung Yoon, telling him he only did what was necessary to survive. Grateful for her understanding, Sung Yoon accepts her friend request. Before she leaves, she tells him to look for her at the White Silver Guild when he returns to Earth. Now alone, Sung Yoon is faced with a difficult choice, whether or not to absorb the souls of the three hunters he killed. He knows that taking a human soul would be crossing a moral line. He decides that while he will not kill people for the sake of getting stronger, he will do whatever is necessary to survive and seize the chance the tower has given him. He makes the hard choice and absorbs the souls. After absorbing the souls of the hunters and the Goblin King, Sung Yoon enters the lobby for the 5th floor. The system has expanded, introducing a trial totalization feature that ranks all challengers. He sets his alias to Hunter and is shocked to see he is ranked 16th overall. He also learns that the top 50 players are designated as pioneers and will receive special benefits, including a privilege called a Yahello, if they maintain their rank until the 8th floor. Having finally reached the 5th floor, Sung Yoon has enough points to buy a return stone. He purchases the item, which will allow him to return to Earth for 3 days. With his new equipment and vastly improved power, he activates the stone, ready to finally go back home. Sung Yoon activates the return stone and is instantly teleported back to his small, messy apartment on Earth. The system informs him he has 3 days before he must return to the Tower of Trials. Exhausted, he immediately collapses into his own bed, relieved to be back in a familiar place. After a short rest, he wakes up and decides to take a shower. He confirms that the items he brought back from the tower, like his dagger, were not just a dream. He realizes that as more challengers from the tower return to Earth, the market for hunter equipment will likely crash. To get the best price, he needs to sell his items as soon as possible, but only certified hunters are allowed to sell such equipment. His original plan was to simply apply for the hunter exam now and take it the next time he returned, but his circumstances have changed. He needs to become a hunter immediately. He calls Director Huang from his old training center and, after refusing a refund for his membership fees, he asks for a favor to let him take the hunter test that very day. Director Huang is greedy and agrees to the request, but only after Sung Yoon implies he will pay for the privilege. Later, he took a bath and decided to go there quickly. Later, at the Hunter Association building, Sung Yoon meets with Director Huang and the test inspector, Kim In-hoo. The inspector informs him that he can skip the written exam and interview portions of the test. He is then led to a combat simulation room. Inspector Kim, who is in on the director's plan to make Sung Yoon fail, tells him to choose a difficulty level from 1 to 10. Sung Yoon remembers all the times he failed the level 1 test against a single goblin because he was too weak. Now, filled with a newfound confidence, he shocks both the director and the inspector by choosing the maximum difficulty, level 10. The test begins, and Sungyun finds himself in a virtual arena facing a massive, fiery phoenix. The creature lets out a powerful roar that debuffs him, decreasing his movement speed by 25%. Director Huang watches from the observation room, smirking. He had not only arranged for the most difficult monster, but also tampered with the provided weapon to ensure Sungyun's failure. He is determined to teach the talentless boy a lesson for his arrogance. In a flashback, Director Huang recalls his own hunter exam. He was overjoyed to pass, but his excitement soon faded as he realized he couldn't keep up with his more talented peers. He eventually gave up on improving, accepting that he simply wasn't born with the necessary talent. Believing that talent is everything, he is convinced that Sungyun, who he sees as talentless, should also just give up. Back in the present, the phoenix shatters the sword provided for the test. Director Huang watches with a smug expression, confident that Sungyun is now helpless. However, Sungyun is unfazed. He activates his instant acceleration skill, which he finds to be far more effective than his assassin's cape. He easily dodges the phoenix's attacks, but because the broken sword is too short to reach the creature's core, his first attack fails, but he was still able to stab the creature. But then he uses a cement floor break and throws at the creature and, yeah, he defeats it. The brick straight went in the observation room. The test ends, and another worker congratulates him for becoming a C-rank hunter. Meanwhile, Inspector Kim confronts Director Huang, furious that his plan to fail Sungyun backfired so spectacularly. The inspector explains that Sungyun's performance was so impressive, killing a high-level monster in under 10 seconds, that he had no choice but to award him a C-rank license. Anything lower would have raised suspicion from the Hunter Association. Sungyun then enters the room and overhears their conversation. He confronts the director, calmly calling him a failure. Enraged, the director attacks him, but Sungyun effortlessly dodges and retaliates, slapping him. Sungyun's display of power is so immense that the director can't believe he is only a C-rank hunter. Having witnessed Sungyun's incredible potential, Inspector Kim offers him a lucrative contract to become an exclusive hunter for the association. Sungyun turns him down, stating that he can't trust them after they manipulated his test. Over the next 2 days, news of the Tower of Trials breaks and the world learns about the challengers who were summoned there. But Sungyun has already used this opportunity to sell the equipment he brought back from the tower for a good price. As the time is already up, he prepares to return, excited to continue growing stronger in the tower. As the timer hits 0, he is teleported away, ready for the next challenge. Sungyun returns to the Tower of Trials and is pleased to find that he can bring items from Earth into the waiting room. As a reward for being the first person to return from Earth, he receives an achievement and a powerful new A-rank skill called Eyes of the Truth. This incredible ability allows him to see detailed information about items and people, and even to determine if someone is telling a lie. Feeling lucky, he uses his accumulated points to buy a new C-rank Thunder Sword with a paralysis effect and a stronger D+ rank shield. Fully equipped and ready for the next challenge, he begins the 5th floor trial. The trial is a hunt. He is teleported to a desolate, snowy mountain range called the Wolf Gorge and is given 1 day to defeat the boss, a wolf person. He is immediately ambushed by a pack of wolves, but with his new power, he finds them incredibly weak. However, they are quickly replaced by much larger and more ferocious, crazy wolves. Sungyun relishes the fight, enjoying the feeling of growing stronger as he slaughters wave after wave of the powerful beasts. The constant battle allows him to increase the proficiency of his skills, even ranking up his Hunter Dagger skill and fast recovery. He absorbs all the spritz too on the way. As he ventures deeper into the gorge, he comes across a gruesome scene. Dozens of crazy wolves have been slaughtered, but not by other animals. The wounds were clearly made by a sword. Using his Eyes of the Truth, he discovers traces of a powerful D-rank aura, a type of skill he has never seen before. Following the trail of destruction, he finds the trial's boss, the wolf person, but it is already dead. The system declares the past conditions have been met, but then a new message appears. It has detected an intruder in Sungyun's trial. The objective is suddenly changed. He must now kill the interdimensional intruder. From a nearby cave emerges a massive, intimidating knight in full plate armor. The knight speaks, revealing that the Tower of Trials exists across multiple dimensions and calls Sungyun a barbaric challenger. He seems surprised that Sungyun is still alive and mocks him, asking if he is scared of death. Sungyun grips his sword, realizing he is now facing a powerful and intelligent enemy unlike any monster he has fought before. The knight, annoyed by Sungyun's silence, charges forward, unleashing a powerful wave of purple energy. Sungyun throws a corpse to block the view and dodges, counter-attacking with a swift strike of his own, aiming to slice the knight's armor in two. To his shock, his sword is blocked by a powerful barrier of purple energy. Then the knight hits, throwing him away on the rocks. The attack has backfired. Sungyun's arm is now bleeding from Knight's blade. Confused by this unexpected outcome, the knight realizes Sungyun doesn't know about class invading. Curious, Sungyun asks for an explanation. The knight, believing Sungyun is about to die anyway, explains that from the 8th floor onwards, players can buy class invading tickets from the store to interfere with the trials of players on lower floors. He also reveals that he comes from a different world or dimension. As the knight is explaining, Sun-Yun activates his Eyes of the Truth skill and confirms that the intruder is telling the truth. The knight, sensing he is being judged, becomes enraged and attacks again. Sun-Yun feigns weakness, clutching his wounded arm and acting helpless. This clever act tricks the knight into a false sense of security. Sun-Yun then reveals his deception. Thanks to his pain resistance and fast recovery skills, his arm is not a problem. He was only pretending to be injured to get information. Now that he knows what he needs to, he prepares to fight for real. He absorbs all of his stored spirits at once, causing his stats to skyrocket. He then activates all his buffing skills, including his Assassin's Cape and instant acceleration. The knight is stunned by the sheer number of skills a 5th floor challenger possesses. He realizes that being on a lower floor is severely restricting his own stats. He unleashes his powerful aura attack, but Sun-Yun is confident he can dodge any critical hits. The real challenge is the knight's incredibly durable armor. Sun-Yun decides on a new strategy. He will hit the armor repeatedly until his sword's special effect triggers. After a furious exchange of blows, he gets lucky. The 10% chance to paralyze from his thunder sword activates, and the knight is now frozen in place, completely vulnerable. With his opponent paralyzed, Sun-Yun seizes the opportunity. He swiftly finds a gap in the knight's armor and delivers a fatal blow. As the knight, whose name is revealed to be Cade Adrax, lies dying, he is in disbelief that a mere 5th floor challenger could possess so many powerful skills. Sun-Yun calmly tells him that he was foolish to rely so heavily on his high-rank armor and skills. After the knight dies, Sun-Yun reflects on the act of killing, noting that he is becoming numb to it. He then absorbs the knight's powerful soul, which increases his necromancy proficiency by a massive 15%. Because the trial's difficulty was unexpectedly increased by the intruder, the system modifies his rewards. Instead of a C-rank item, he receives a new A-rank skill, 3 lacerations, and a large sum of points. Now in the lobby of the 6th floor, Sun-Yun realizes how dangerous the tower truly is, now that he knows about class invading. He decides to use one of his precious question vouchers to learn more. He asks about the specifics of floor invasions and if he can be alerted when one is happening. The system's administrator replies almost instantly. They explain that floor invasions are a feature unlocked on the 8th floor and cannot be used in special trials like the one he just experienced. They also inform him that he cannot receive information about floors he has not yet reached, so his second question cannot be answered. Since only the first part of his question was answered, his voucher is not consumed. After getting some crucial information, Sun-Yun uses the items he bought on Earth to repair his damaged equipment. He then checks the new leaderboard and is shocked to find he has jumped from 16th to 3rd place. He is now closer than ever to securing the Pioneer benefits. He then looks at the community chat, which is in a state of chaos. Some players are advocating for murdering other challengers to gain achievements and power, while others are horrified by the idea. One player, who had previously stirred up competition in the 4th floor lobby, is now being targeted by others for inciting conflict. Sun-Jun takes note of the player's new alias, Princess Sudi, and prepares for the 6th trial. The trial is a conquering mission. He is teleported to an ocean with a massive ship and is assigned a teammate. The objective is to capture a tile within 50 minutes. As he waits for his partner to appear, he is suddenly attacked from behind. He easily blocks the strike and turns to face his new teammate, who is shocked by the failed ambush. The teammate explains that he checked the community boards and learned that murdering is the easiest way to get achievements. He then calls Sun-Yun a hypocrite for pretending to have a conscience in a place where killing is necessary for survival. The 6th floor trial begins with Sun-Yun witnessing a grim scene, everyone killing their teammates. But among them were 2 players handshaking as a sign of trust, only to be stabbed later. The traitor earns an achievement for the dirty murder and coldly remarks that their victim should have been more careful. Sun-Yun's teammate then spots an opening to attack and lunges at him. Sun-Yun, having already dealt with one betrayal, is unfazed. He easily dodges the attack and kills his former teammate, earning the traitor achievement and a point in strength. He reflects that while he won't go out of his way to kill other challengers, he will not hesitate to eliminate anyone who attacks him first. Suddenly, another challenger, a mage, appears and casts a massive iron dome spell over a tile in the distance. He laughs, thinking he has secured an easy victory. Sun-Jun, however, simply leaps over the ocean toward the dome. The mage is shocked by his audacity, but Sun-Jun effortlessly shatters the magical barrier and kills the mage, taking the tile for himself. By displaying such overwhelming and ruthless power, Sun-Yun instills fear in the other challengers, who decide to avoid him. This allows him to begin capturing the tile peacefully. The capture process takes 10 minutes, during which he must fend off any challengers who try to stop him. He reflects on the brutal nature of the tower, where the weak are forced to distrust and kill each other for survival, a reality he finds both gloomy and hypocritical. Just as he is about to secure the tile, he is interrupted by a party of 4 well-equipped challengers. Their leader, a smug blonde man, reveals that they have formed a murder party to hunt other players for achievements. He introduces his teammate Kim Jin-hyun, who possesses a unique trait called Heart Solidarity. As the 4 attack, Kim Jin-hyun stabs himself. Due to his unique trait, the pain of the wound is transferred directly to Sun-Yun. While he is reeling from the unexpected agony, the party's tank unleashes a powerful water attack. Sung Yoon is drenched in seawater, which triggers a severe penalty, decreasing all his stats by 10 for 3 minutes. Now weakened, in pain, and surrounded, Sung Yoon finds himself in the worst possible situation. However, a sinister smile spreads across his face as he thinks, if I was a normal challenger, that is. Despite being weakened by the seawater penalty and racked with transferred pain, Sung Yoon reveals that he is far from helpless. Their plan had a fatal flaw. They picked the wrong person to mess with. In a stunning display of speed and power, he instantly kills one of the attackers, earning the one-hit killer achievement and a new skill, Contempt for the Weak. This new skill increases his strength against opponents who are weaker than him. He immediately uses it against the party's tank, effortlessly shattering his shield and beating him to death with his bare hands. The party's leader, now terrified, tries to use his last remaining teammate, the one with the pain-sharing ability, as a human shield, cutting his limbs one by one to increase Sung Yoon's pain. Sung Yoon realizes that the only way to end the shared pain is to kill the caster. He endures the agony and pushes through, killing the caster instantly. Now, free from the debilitating pain, he faces the terrified leader. In a desperate last stand, the leader tries to attack, but Sung Yoon is too fast. He catches the leader's blade with his bare hand and, with a cold expression, ends the fight. With all the other challengers on his tile dead, Sung Yoon successfully completes the trial. He notes that in the end, the players who survived were the ones who trusted their teammates, with a few exceptions like himself and the player who went on a solo killing spree. He wonders if, in the eyes of others, he is also becoming a monster. After the trial, he absorbs the souls of the 4 hunters he killed, which is enough to level up his necromancy skill to D rank. He is then transported to the 7th floor waiting room where a new achievement list feature has been created. He is surprised to see that his first returnee achievement is S rank. He reviews his other murder-related achievements and the rewards they gave, acknowledging that killing has been very profitable. Finally, he opens the random box he received as a reward for the 6th floor. Expecting a low-grade item, he is completely bewildered when a tiny, angry-looking baby goblin pops out of the box. Sung Yoon now stares in disbelief at the tiny, angry goblin that hatched from his random reward box. Confused and annoyed, he tries to catch the creature as it zips around the room. After a comical chase, he finally grabs it, only for the goblin to bite him. Initially enraged, Sung Yoon is about to crush the creature, but he is surprised by its feisty attitude. He decides to test its strength and, after effortlessly dodging its tiny punches, he delivers a powerful punch of his own. The goblin explodes into pieces, dropping a B-rank wrought iron pendant. He realizes the creature was a living treasure chest and feels lucky to have received the highest possible grade item. The pendant is an amazing piece of equipment. It passively increases the effectiveness of his blade-related skills by 7%. When activated, it also creates a Steel's Blessing that reduces all physical damage by 10%. Sung Yoon is thrilled with this powerful new item, but quickly discovers its downside. It consumes a massive amount of mana. He decides to only use it in emergencies. After equipping his new pendant, Sung Yoon examines his necromancy skill, which ranked up to D. The upgrade has added a new defensive ability. He can now consume souls to protect his body from impact. He is a little disappointed it wasn't a boost to his soul absorption, but a defensive skill is still very useful. Just as he is about to start the next trial, he notices something strange. The usual waiting period before a trial is gone. He checks the community chat and confirms that the waiting time has been removed for everyone. While many low-ranking players are indifferent, Sung Yoon knows this change will primarily benefit high-rankers like himself who can clear trials quickly. He also notices a shift in the community's attitude. After the brutal 6th trial, the players who were advocating for murder have gone silent. Feeling that he is running out of time before other high-rankers get too far ahead, Sung Yoon immediately starts the 7th trial. The objective is to prove yourself by clearing free trials within 40 minutes. He is teleported to a familiar desert landscape and realizes with a shock that he has to repeat his 1st floor trial. However, his confidence turns to alarm when a sand golem emerges that is at least 3 times larger than the original. But Sung Yoon is still undaunted. He activates his instant acceleration skill to test it out and is amazed by the burst of speed. He easily dodges the golem's clumsy attacks but soon discovers a new problem. The golem's core is nowhere to be seen. He speculates that it must have relocated deeper inside its body as it grew larger. He realizes he can't find the core by just looking, so he decides on a more direct approach. He will slice the entire golem apart until he finds it. He activates his powerful new A-rank skill, Triple Laceration, which strengthens his blade for 3 consecutive attacks. With a single, empowered strike, he cuts off one of the golem's massive arms. He is now confident that with this new skill, he is more than a match for the creature. He is even grateful to the knight who invaded his previous trial, as the boosted rewards are proving to be invaluable. Sung Yoon then begins a relentless assault, repeatedly cutting the golem to pieces. Each time, the golem regenerates, but he notices that it is getting slightly smaller with each restoration. He realizes that the sand it uses to reform itself is a finite resource. Amused by this, at first he tells the golem that it's very cute, making it blush. He then taunts the golem, asking if it wants to go on a diet, with him making it angry. He continues to hack away at the golem, forcing it to regenerate again and again. As the golem shrinks, it becomes noticeably faster and more agile. Eventually, after a grueling battle, Sunyeon wears the golem down until it is just a small form. It is then that he finally spots the glowing red core, now exposed on its back. With no time to waste, he leaps forward and shatters it, completing the first of the 3 trials. However, when he tries to absorb its soul to increase his proficiency, he fails. Annoyed, he is immediately teleported to the next stage of the trial. The second objective is to overcome your own wisdom. He finds himself in a recreation of the burning orc village from his second floor trial. He witnesses a vision of the aftermath of his previous actions. A powerful orc hunter returns to find its home destroyed and its family killed. Consumed by grief and rage, the orc enters a berserk state, becoming far stronger than a normal monster of its rank. Sunyeon feels a flicker of empathy, remembering the pain of losing his own family. However, he quickly hardens his resolve, telling himself that monsters don't deserve pity. He activates all his enhancement skills and brutally slaughters the berserk orc and its remaining followers. As the last orc lies dying, Sunyeon cruelly asks how it feels to watch its family die, just as he had to. With that, the second trial is complete. He absorbs the souls of the powerful hunter orcs, which is enough to level up 2 of his skills, Hunter Dagger skill and Instant Acceleration. He is then immediately thrown into the third and final trial, Overcome Your Hesitation. To his surprise, he is not in a replica of his third floor trial. Instead, he finds himself back in the ocean arena from the 6th floor, where players had to capture tiles. Realizing the tower's trials are unpredictable, he drinks a health potion to prepare. To test the water, he throws his dagger into it, which summons a massive, hostile water that starts blowing all the tiles in the air. Sunyeon understands that to pass, he must find and reach the single red captured tile. He starts running across the platforms, activating his speed buffs to stay ahead of the water, all while being careful not to touch the cursed water. One wrong step sends him splashing into the ocean, immediately triggering the severe stat-decreasing penalty. Pursued by the relentless water, he spots the red tile in the distance. He pushes through, using instant acceleration to dodge the serpent's attacks as he makes a desperate sprint for the goal. Just as he is about to reach it, a massive wave crashes over him and he is dragged underwater. Sunyeon is in a desperate situation. Just as the debuff was about to hit him, 2 of his defensive abilities activate. First, his wrought iron pendant reduces the physical damage by 10%. Then, the new defensive ability of his necromancy skill kicks in, sacrificing some of his stored souls to create a shield and absorb the rest of the impact. He survives the attack but is now completely out of mana, which deactivates his other buffs. With the clock ticking, he quickly consumes another soul to replenish his magic power and pushes toward the red tile, propelling himself onto the red platform just as time runs out. Exhausted but victorious, Sunyeon lies on the platform as the system confirms he has completed the 7th floor. He is rewarded with a new A-rank skill, Wind's Grace, 15,000 points, and a pair of C+ rank fast boots. He is then teleported to the 8th floor lobby. He feels uneasy, sensing that from this point on, luck will not be enough to get him through the trials. Just then, a series of system messages announce a massive expansion. Now that 1,000 people have cleared the 7th floor, new features are unlocked, a skill shop, a trial junction, the ability to permanently return to Earth, and the floor invading system. Most importantly, because Sunyeon has been a pioneer in the top 50 for every floor so far, he is granted a halo. The system presents him with 3 choices: ruler, hunter, or monk. After reviewing the descriptions, he dismisses the monk halo, which relies too much on innate talent. He hesitates between hunter, which boosts skill proficiency, and ruler, which enhances unique traits and grants the skill synthesization authority. Convinced by the system's recommendation that ruler is the most suitable for him, he makes his choice. The ruler halo immediately triggers an evolution of his unique trait. He is presented with 3 potential paths for his necromancy: summoner, magic swordsman, or creator. He quickly chooses summoner, which allows him to use absorbed souls to raise undead skeletons. His new halo also grants him the ability to synthesize 2 of his existing skills to create a new one. Excited by this incredible power, he decides to combine 2 of his least used skills, Extinction for the Weak and Combat Continuation. The synthesis is successful, and a message appears announcing that a new skin has been created. He is shocked and excited when his 2 F-ranked skills merge to create a new D-ranked skill called Forceful Breakthrough. This powerful new ability allows him to break through any restrictions created by skills, as long as his mana is higher than his opponent's. Feeling confident, he decides to try combining skills again. This time, he combines Ranger's Knowledge and Fire Resistance, both F-rank skills. The result is Strengthened Eyes, an E-rank skill. He's a little disappointed that it only went up 1 rank. He figures out that the success of skill combinations depends on how compatible the skills are. His first combination worked well because the skills were a good match, but the second pair was not. Later, while lying in bed, Sunyeon wonders if his recent success is because of his own hard work, or if he has just been lucky because of his special ability. He decides to stop overthinking and checks the rewards he earned from the 7th floor. He receives an incredible A-rank skill called Wind's Grace. It increases all his speeds by 10% every time he says its name, and he can stack this effect up to 7 times for a 70% speed boost. He is ecstatic, especially when he realizes the skill uses no mana. He also gets a C+ rank item, the Boots of Swiftnesses, which further increases his attack and movement speed. He is very happy that all his rewards are focused on making him faster. Afterward, Sungyeon visits the skill store but finds the skills for sale are low quality and very expensive. Despite the cost, he knows he needs to prepare for future fights, so he spends a lot of points to buy 2 D-rank skills, Magic Circuit and Magic Resistance. He hopes these will protect him from mind control abilities like one he faced in the past. The moment he buys Magic Circuit, the skill is painfully engraved directly onto his body, making him feel like he is on fire. When the intense pain finally stops, he feels incredibly light. He tests his body and discovers that the Magic Circuit has not only increased his mana efficiency, but has also boosted his physical abilities. He is very satisfied with his purchase. Now the next thing was whether he should go watch or challenge the next floor. Meanwhile on Earth, another hunter is sitting alone, trying to recruit party members for an emergency gate. Because he is only an E rank, no one wants to join him. A group of bullies approaches and tries to pressure him into selling his gate entrance license, making fun of him for being weak. Just then, Sun-yoon arrives and asks if there is a spot available for the party. He shows his C-rank hunter ID, shocking the lone hunter who immediately agrees. One of the bullies angrily grabs Sun-yoon's shoulder, telling him to back off. Sung-yoon calmly tells him to let go, but his eyes glow red as he releases a wave of intense, intimidating energy. Hyungnim, who is also a C-rank hunter, is shocked and terrified by Sung-yoon's immense power, wondering how another C-rank could be so strong. Hyungnim's friends mistakenly praised their leader for his powerful energy, but he didn't reveal the truth. Realizing he is completely outmatched and noticing that officials from the Hunters Association are watching, Hyungnim backs down. He pretends to be merciful, telling Sung-yoon he is lucky before quickly leaving with his group. The lone E-rank hunter is left confused by the sudden turn of events. Sung-yoon suggests that since no one else is likely to join their party, they should just head into the dungeon. The hunter, whose name is Lee Cheol-won, is very nervous about entering with just the two of them. Inside the dungeon, the E-rank hunter is visibly on edge. Sung-yoon tells him to relax, confidently stating that he can handle most D-rank monsters by himself. This worries the hunter even more. He points out that this is Sung-yoon's first real dungeon and then shares a surprising fact. C-rank hunters have a higher death rate than E-rank hunters. He explains that E-ranks know their limits and are extremely cautious, while C-ranks often become overconfident, which leads to their deaths. He is worried about Sun-yoon's confidence, especially since they are missing a tanker and a healer. Given his experience, the E-rank hunter asks to take the lead for safety. Sung-yoon agrees and they proceed deeper into the cave. Soon, they encounter a lizardman. The hunter recognizes it as a monster that uses weapon skills and tells Sung-yoon that he will get its attention while Sung-yoon looks for an opening. However, instead of attacking, the hunter just stands frozen in a strange staring contest with the monster and swinging his sword in air. Feeling impatient because he only has 3 days for his temporary return to Earth, Sung-yoon decides to take matters into his own hands. He activates his instant acceleration skill and kills the lizardman in a blur of motion, leaving Cheol-won completely stunned. Sung-yoon apologizes for interfering but explains he is in a rush. He then declares that he will take the lead from now on. At that moment, a group of lizardmen appears, and Sung-yoon single-handedly slaughters them all. The E-rank hunter watches in awe, realizing he is witnessing a super rookie in action. After the battle, the hunter apologizes for only being useful as a bag boy to carry the loot. As he begins to discuss how they should split the rewards, Sung-yoon tells him they can talk about it after they get out of the dungeon. While they talk, Sung-yoon secretly absorbs the souls of the dead monsters, noticing that his skill proficiency is increasing more slowly from D-rank monsters. Thanks to Sung-yoon's power, they reach the boss room gate in no time. The E-rank hunter is thrilled, realizing that with Sung-yoon, clearing the entire dungeon is actually possible. After confirming Sung-yoon does not need a rest, they step through the gate. Inside, they find the boss, a massive, powerful lizard king. When his anxious partner asks for the plan, Sung-yoon simply tells him to wait for a moment and calmly walks toward the giant monster, admitting with a smile that he does not really have one. The battle with the lizard king begins. The massive boss, surprisingly fast for its size, lunges at Sung-yoon. Although Sung-yoon can keep up with its speed, the monster manages to land a powerful tail whip, sending him flying across the room. His partner, Cheol-won, watches in horror, thinking Sung-yoon is done for. However, a system window announces that the soul has absorbed the user's damage. Sung-yoon emerges from the dust completely unharmed, surrounded by a dark, swirling aura. He smiles, thinking this is the perfect opportunity to test his new skills. The Lizard King then unleashes a special ability, creating a purple energy field that slows all movement by 25%. Sung-yoon immediately counters by activating Forceful Breakthrough. Since his magic power is more than double the Lizard King's, the slowing effect is completely cancelled out. But while Sung-yoon is unaffected, Cheol-won is suddenly paralyzed by the skill's secondary effect. The Lizard King ignores Sung-yoon and charges straight for the helpless hunter, Cheol-won. Realizing he is too far away to intervene in time, Sung-yoon uses Summon the Dead. a group of skeleton soldiers erupts from the ground, momentarily blocking the boss's path. In that brief second, Sun-Yoon activates Wind's Grace 6 times, increasing his speed by 60%. Moving like a flash of light, he closes the distance and slays the Lizard King just before it can kill KO1. With the boss defeated, system notifications flood in. Sun-Yoon receives massive stat increases from absorbing the Lizard King's powerful soul and even absorbs one of its skills, Spiritual Eyes, which will allow him to see invisible attacks. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, an official from the Hunters Association Gate Management Team, Shin Woojin, is waiting impatiently. He is bored and jealous of the raid teams that get big commissions. He watches as the dungeon gate suddenly turns gray, signaling that the boss has been defeated and the raid is complete. He is shocked to see only Sun-Yoon and Kaowan walk out. Woojin rushes over and introduces himself, hoping to purchase the ownership rights to the now cleared gate. Kaowan quickly explains that Sun-Yoon defeated the boss all by himself. Assuming he must be a secret A-rank hunter, Woojin is stunned when Sun-Yoon insists he is only C-rank. Eager to hide his identity as someone from the Tower of Trials, Sun-Yoon cuts to the chase and asks for their offer. Shin Woojin offers him an incredible 1.2 billion won, leaving Sun-Yoon wide-eyed. Elsewhere, a woman is exhausted from working non-stop at a desk piled high with papers. This woman is Lee Haeyeon, who is the team leader of a special department that manages challengers from the Tower of Trials. She is completely exhausted, feeling stressed because she has failed to recruit any powerful challengers for her program. While thinking about her struggles, she remembers the incredibly strong man she met on the 4th floor, Sung-yeon, and wishes she had made him an offer. At that exact moment, her phone buzzes with a message from Sung-yeon himself, asking to meet. They meet at a cafe, where Sung-yeon is still trying to process the 1.2 billion won that just appeared in his bank account. A flustered Haeyeon arrives, playfully complaining that he took a long time to respond. After Sun-Yoon buys her coffee and cake, he gets straight to the point. He needs to join a guild. He lists 3 very demanding conditions. He wants the freedom to ignore guild summons, complete privacy for his activities in the tower, and unrestricted access to the guild's dungeons. Haeyeon tells him that his terms are impossible because no guild would agree to a contract where they get nothing in return. Just as Sun-Yeon is about to give up, Haeyeon suddenly grabs his hand and makes a surprising offer. She asks him to join her guild, the White Silver Guild, and promises that she will make his impossible conditions possible. However, there is a catch. To prove he is worth such a special contract, he must first clear a C-rank dungeon all by himself. Sun-Yeon agrees to the terms, and they shake on it. The next day, Sun-Yoon arrives at the C-rank dungeon location, having run there as a warm-up. He moves so quickly that he creates a huge gust of wind, shocking Haeyeon, who is already waiting for him. They enter the gate, which transports them to a wide, empty field. Haeyeon assures Sun-Yoon that he does not need to worry about her safety, as she has a high-level protective artifact. She will stay far away so she cannot be accused of helping. As Sun-Yoon prepares for the test, his Spiritual Eyes skill activates, allowing him to sense dozens of invisible enemies hidden beneath the ground. Suddenly, monstrous centipede-like creatures erupt from the earth. Haeyeon screams in panic, recognizing them as deadly, poisonous demons that are far too strong to be in a C-rank dungeon. She realizes they have entered an irregular dungeon. But before she can even finish her warning, Sun-Yoon is already moving, effortlessly slicing through the powerful monsters. Haeyeon watches in absolute awe, her fear turning into excitement. She smiles, realizing that her decision to bet on Han Sung-yeon's incredible power was the right one. He moves with incredible speed, his sword crackling with a rare lightning effect as he cuts through the swarm of monsters. In less than an hour, he single-handedly defeats every monster in the area. He calls out to Lee Haeyeon, telling her it is safe to approach. She walks toward him, completely stunned. She knows that deadly poisonous demons are incredibly dangerous monsters that C-rank hunters are advised to fight only in large parties. To see Sun-Yeon defeat so many of them by himself proves to her that he is destined to become unbelievably powerful. As Sun-Yeon absorbs the souls of the defeated monsters, he receives a massive boost to all of his stats. Feeling more powerful than ever, he confidently tells Haeyeon that he is ready to face the boss. They enter the boss room, a dark and swampy area. It is strangely quiet, with no sign of the boss. Suddenly, a massive monster made of blue fire and water erupts from up attacking Haeyeon. Thinking fast, he uses skills to instantly take them both to safety. She thanked him for the save. The monster attacks again, but his speed is still unbeatable. And Sun-Yeon now prepares to finish the fight. He activates all of his speed-enhancing skills at once, instant acceleration, the boost from his Boots of Swiftnesses, and he fully stacks Wind's Grace 7 times, increasing his speed by a massive 70%. Moving in a flash of blue light, he strikes the boss 3 times, killing it instantly. Haeyeon is left speechless, jokingly remarking that she is no longer sure who the real monster is. Outside, she officially tells Sun-Yoon that he has passed the test and can now use the White Silver Guild's dungeons. She then shares some important information about the Tower of Trials. The difficulty level a challenger chooses at the beginning is not permanent. It can change based on their performance. She explains that because Sun-Jun has been growing at such an overwhelming rate, the system has likely assigned him a secret, even harder difficulty, Deadly. She advises him to be careful and expresses her wish to watch him grow for years to come. Then later, a system window announces that Sun Yun's 3 days on Earth are over. He is teleported back to the Tower of Trials, where he immediately accepts the trial for the 8th floor. A new system feature called a turning point appears, allowing him to choose a focus for the trial. To improve his necromancy, he chooses combat. Because he has consistently chosen combat and holds the Pioneer qualification, he is granted a special reward, a face-to-face chat with one of the tower's administrators. The system searches for an administrator who specializes in combat and connects him with someone called the Iron-Blooded Monarch. Suddenly, Sun Yun is transported from the familiar trial floor to a cold, snowy wasteland filled with countless swords stuck in the ground. A final message appears announcing, "You have entered the Iron Blood world, the personal domain of the administrator known as the Iron-Blooded Monarch." When Sun Yun instinctively tries to use a skill to analyze his surroundings, he gets a notification that the monarch is offended by his prying. Suddenly, a glowing sword appears and flies off, with a message from the monarch telling him to stop wasting time and follow it. The sword leads him to a large cabin. Inside, he is greeted by a beautiful, long-haired woman sitting on a throne. She introduces herself as the Iron-Blooded Monarch, the administrator in charge of his interview. To Sun Yun's surprise, she instantly appears right in front of him, commenting that he looks quite normal for a monster. She reveals that she knows about his impressive performance on the 4th floor. She also explains that administrators are not all-powerful gods. They are actually subordinate to the tower itself and cannot harm him. She tells him that this personal interview is a special benefit for pioneers, like him, allowing him to ask any questions he has. Sun Yun first asks why another challenger was able to invade his 5th floor trial. The monarch explains that invading another world's floor offers better rewards, which is why powerful, experienced challengers often do it to kill and steal from weaker ones. She then reveals a shocking truth. After the 20th floor, the tower will begin to merge with towers from other worlds, and you will have to compete with challengers from different dimensions. Finally, Sun Yun asks his most important question, what is the Tower of Trials? The monarch confesses that she does not know either, as she and all the other admins were once challengers themselves. She reveals that any challenger who dies after the 40th floor is given the chance to be revived as an administrator. All of them failed to reach the top. When Sun Yun asks what is at the tower top, the monarch's demeanor changes completely. She attacks him, grabbing him by the throat, testing his reaction. Sun Yun, sensing no real killing intent, doesn't dodge her assault. But when asked why he breaks the house which he was held against, impressed by his skill and guts, the monarch laughs and offers him a disciple contract. Sun Yun is then teleported back to the lobby of the 8th floor. He discovers he now has access to a contractor's exclusive store, where he can spend special points, SP, given by his new sponsor, the monarch. The store offers powerful abilities called authorities. After looking through the options, he decides to purchase Serene Mind, an authority that helps him stay calm and rational in any situation, which he believes will be crucial for his survival. With his new ability, Sun Yun starts the 8th floor trial. The objective is to defeat a lich that summons skeletons. He is then transported to a vast field covered with an unbelievable number of skeletons, with a massive castle looming in the distance. He is shocked and wonders why there are so many of them. Chapter 27. He realizes their tactic is to simply overwhelm him with sheer numbers. With a confident smirk, he decides to meet their numbers with his own power. He jumps down with a powerful wave of energy, wiping out hundreds of skeletons in a single blast. Now he starts killing. However, he is disappointed to see that his skill proficiency only increases by a tiny 0.8% for each kill. He realizes the skeletons are too weak to be of any real use for his growth. Just then, a booming voice echoes across the battlefield, demanding to know who dares to cause a disturbance in its sacred grounds. Sun Yun looks toward a massive castle in the distance, knowing the voice belongs to the lich he is supposed to defeat. Deciding to deal with the endless skeletons later, Sun Yun absorbs the souls of the ones he has already killed, creating his own skeleton soldiers to keep the army busy. He then uses Wind's Grace to boost his speed and dashes toward the castle. There, he finds the lich, a powerful undead being wearing a golden crown. The lich is furious that a lowly human has entered its domain and summons some massive guardians to attack. Sun Yun easily dodges the guardian's attack and sizes it up, noting that it is about as strong as the sand golem he fought before. He mockingly asks the lich if it can summon anything stronger. Enraged by his arrogance, the lich sends the guardians to attack again, but Sun Yun, using instant acceleration, moves in a blur and instantly destroys the guardian. He discovers that defeating the stronger guardian monster gives his skills a much bigger proficiency boost. A brilliant and slightly evil idea pops into his head. He asks the terrified lich if it can summon another guardian. When the lich confirms it can summon a new one a few minutes after the old one is destroyed, Sun Yun's plan is set. He forces the frightened lich to continuously summon guardians, one after another, which he then effortlessly destroys to quickly and efficiently level up his skills. After countless repetitions, his unique trait, Necromancy, finally reaches 100% proficiency and ranks up to C rank. Having served his purpose, the exhausted and defeated lich begins to crumble away, cursing Sun Yun with its final breath. Sun Yun easily finishes it off and absorbs its soul, gaining a massive 17.4% proficiency boost and completing the 8th floor trial. As a reward, he receives a stat increase, 30,000 points and 1,000 special points SP from his new sponsor. Transported to the 9th floor lobby, Sun Yun immediately checks the details of his newly upgraded necromancy skill. He is amazed by the powerful new effects, a 20% chance to absorb a skill from a soul, and the power to inherit the proficiency level of any skill he absorbs. Knowing the next trial could be much harder, he decides to upgrade his weapon skills. Since his hunter dagger skills is maxed out and he now uses a sword, he buys a basic swordsmanship skill from the store. He then uses his skill synthesis's ability to combine the D-rank dagger skill with the E-rank sword skill. The synthesis is a success, creating a powerful new C-rank skill called Demon Slayer, which triples his cutting power and doubles his attack speed against non-human enemies. Feeling lucky, he decides to try combining more skills. He successfully merges Iron-Blooded Regeneration and Pain Resistance, creating an incredible B-rank skill called Ash and Blood. This new ability, derived from a mutant vampire, triples his regeneration rate and nullifies up to 40% of incoming pain. To test it, he pays to turn off the lobby's healing effect and deliberately cuts his own hand. The deep wound heals in an instant, proving how powerful his new defensive capabilities are. Feeling fully prepared, Sun Yun enters the 9th floor trial. The objective is to kill all the monsters in an arena within 1 day. However, as soon as he arrives, he receives an alert. A challenger from the Muram world has invaded his trial. His new objective is to kill the intruder. He is confronted by an old man named Baek Sunhak, a commander from the Muram League. Baek Sunhak introduces himself and attacks Sun Yun, but after witnessing his speed, Baek Sunhak asked for Sun Yun's name, claiming it is a matter of courtesy among fellow swordsmen. Sun Yun is annoyed by this fake politeness, calling it disgusting since the man's only goal is to kill him and steal his reward. Deciding to end the fight, the invader unleashes a powerful unique trait called Sword Light. A blinding flash fills the arena, and a system message informs Sun Yun that he has been blinded for 5 seconds, leaving him vulnerable to attack. Now Sun Yun is in a dangerous position. However, his mana-resistance skill kicks in, cutting the duration of the blindness in half. At the same time, his spiritual eyes skill activates, allowing him to perceive attacks even without his sight. He narrowly dodges Baek Sunhak's fatal strike but still gets a deep cut on his neck. His Ashen Blood skill immediately begins to heal the wound. The invader is shocked that Sun Yun could dodge while blinded. In response, Sun Yun activates his own speed skills and closes the distance, engaging the old swordsman in a fierce battle. They are evenly matched, much to Sun Yun's surprise. Annoyed, Baek Sunhak declares he will no longer hold back and uses Sword Light again. This time, however, Sun Yun is prepared. As his vision disappears, he activates his spiritual eyes again. But Baek Sunhak's attack speed has increased dramatically, and a powerful blow sends Sun Yun flying. The impact is partially absorbed by a protective pendant, but he is still injured. Just as the blindness wears off, Sun Yun sees Baek Sunhak's hand glowing with a strange energy. The old man accuses Sun Yun of using dark sorcery, calling him a fake martial artist. Sun Yun retorts that Baek Sunhak is a hypocrite for criticizing his borrowed skills when the invader's own unique traits are also gifts from the tower. Now we see the old man's backstory. He has invaded dozens of floors, dozens of times up until now, and has killed dozens of challenges from a diverse range of worlds. However, people from the Earth world were especially weak in every skill to the point where he could be called a honeypot. And with his unique trait, Sword Light was enough for him to end them with 1 strike, but this time it was different. After some intense battle with Sun Yun, the whole train is already exhausted, and even the admin started laughing at him, believing he's going to lose to a young challenger. Enraged, Baek Sunhak activates a flurry of his own skills, dramatically boosting his speed and power. Just as he is about to attack, he is hit with a floor invasion penalty, which decreases all his stats and deactivates some of his skills. Seeing his chance, Sun Yun activates Spiritual Eyes to counter the sword lights that he knows is coming. With his senses heightened, Sun Yun is able to perfectly anticipate and counter the invader's movements. He unleashes his 3 Laceration skill, and with 3 powerful strikes, he cuts down the old swordsman from the Muram world. With his enemy defeated, a final message appears, congratulating him on clearing the 9th floor of the Tower of Trials. Exhausted but victorious, he absorbs the powerful soul of the defeated challenger, gaining a massive 27% proficiency boost. A system message appears, announcing that because the trial's difficulty was increased by the invasion, his rewards will be adjusted. Instead of the original reward, he receives a new C+ rank skill called Sixth Sense, along with 35,000 points and 1,000 special points. As he is about to be moved to the lobby, he is flooded with messages from various administrators who are watching his fight. They are all incredibly impressed by his performance. His sponsor, the Iron-Blooded Monarch, gets annoyed by all the attention he is receiving and warns him not to be tempted by the other admins. Then, something unexpected happens. An administrator named White Crane Swordmasters asks for permission to add a new authority to Sun Yun's exclusive store. The Iron-Blooded Monarch explains that other admins will sometimes offer abilities to gain favor with promising challengers. Seeing no reason to refuse a free gift, Sun Yun accepts. A new C+ rank authority, Swordchi Masters, is added to his store. As soon as it was added, the White Crane Swordmasters quickly told him to remember this favor. He is then transported to the 10th floor lobby. The system announces another expansion. A public area is now open. He wonders if the administrators can watch him there too. Before exploring, he decides to check his new Sword Chi Master authority. It costs 500 SP and allows him to infuse his weapons with mana, making them stronger. He browses the other available authorities and sees some incredible abilities, but he only has 2000 SP. He can only afford Sword Chi Masters or another skill called Bone Reconstruction. Remembering how powerful Baeksunhak was, he decides he needs more power to survive and purchases Sword Chi Master. He immediately activates the new skill to test it. The mana flows around his sword like water, and he notes that for every minute it's active, his mana consumption increases by 2%. He realizes he'll need to use it carefully. After deactivating it, he checks his other reward, the Sixth Sense skill, which sharpens his instincts so much that he can use them to make judgments. Curious about the new public area, he opens the community forum. It's buzzing with activity. Challengers from different countries are all gathered, surprised that they can understand each other. He then spots a crucial message. Someone mentions that you can meet other challengers and even exchange authorities in the public area. Intrigued by the idea of making deals, he decides to go check it out. In the public arena, we see a man is teleported to a large open area where other challengers are walking around. Elsewhere, a group of sinister-looking men corners another Korean hunter, the same one. They are annoyed by Korea's reputation as a powerful nation and decide to attack him, noting that killing is allowed outside the main public space. They use their unique traits to weaken the hunter, paralyzing him and draining his stats. As they are about to finish him, a woman dressed as a nun steps in and threatens to expose their actions to the community. The leader of the group smirks and tells her he might spare them if she strips and hands over all her items. Just as things get tense, we see Sung-yoon, who was just walking by. The group immediately turns their attention to him. Seeing that he is also Korean, they use their weakening abilities on him. However, the hero's resistance skills activate automatically, completely negating all of their negative effects. The attackers stare in shock as Sung-yoon, now annoyed that his quiet walk was interrupted, envelops his sword in a glowing blue aura and says, "You guys started this." He activates instant acceleration and moves in a blur, instantly taking down 2 of the attackers. The leader frantically tries to cast a defensive spell, but Sung-yoon is too fast. He shatters the man's ice shield with a single punch. The terrified leader begs for his life, but Sung-yoon shows no mercy and eliminates the entire group. Afterward, he calmly absorbs their souls, gaining a 6% proficiency boost. The nun and the young A-rank hunter he saved approach him. The nun apologizes for not helping, but Sung-yoon tells her it is fine. The young man, completely in awe of Sung-yoon's power, stammers and asks if he is a ranker. Sung-yoon confirms with something like that because he has always been in the top 10. The man thanks him profusely for saving his life. As Sung-yoon turns to leave, the young man makes a strange request. He asks for the bodies of the dead Murim challengers. In exchange, he offers to give Sung-yoon a skill. The man reveals his own unique skill, Gluttony, which allows him to consume the bodies in a vortex of dark energy. True to his word, he has his sponsoring administrator, Glutton, grant Sung-yoon a new skill called Wings of Steel, which is added to his exclusive store. While they are talking, Sun-jun receives a flood of messages from the administrators. His sponsor, the Iron-Blooded Monarch, is clearly annoyed, warning the other admins to stay away from her contractor. The young man, whose name is revealed to be a former team manager from the Hunter Association, gives Sun-jun his business card and shares some valuable information. He explains that challengers from 3 other worlds, Ares, Murim, and Kallion, are known to invade Earth's tower. Ares prioritizes chivalry, Murim are similar just a bit aggressive, and Kallion is a nation of elves. The young man heads to the auction house, but Sung-yoon goes to the arena. Finally arriving at the public area, inside he finds a large coliseum-like space where challengers are either betting on fights or fighting each other. After reviewing the rules, he learns that he can wager a skill, item, or authority to challenge another player for their wagered reward. Then we see a famous American hunter, Catherine Bennett, who is famous for being undefeated and no one was challenging her because they know they're going to die if they tried. She has 17 wins and E losses and is wagering a C+ rank skill with a 6th rank in leaderboard. Bored that no one dares to challenge her, she is about to leave when she receives a fight request from Sun-yoon, who is in the 3rd in leaderboard. Intrigued that a rookie with 0 fights would challenge her, she accepts. They are both transported to the fighting stage. Catherine compliments Sung-yoon's courage but warns him that he has made a mistake. As the fight begins, she immediately unleashes her powerful authority, Earth of Fire, launching a massive fireball at him. Sung-yoon easily dodges the smaller blast before activating his own authority, Sword Chi Masters. With his sword glowing with blue energy, he slices straight through the giant fireball, shocking Catherine. Appearing before her unharmed, he coolly throws her words back at her, saying he'll be the one to give her that learning experience.